There we go.
There we go.
Okay.
You might want to start over.
Okay, we're gonna go ahead. All right, everybody can hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, the recording has started.
Okay.
So we're gonna go ahead and yes, okay, there we go. Okay, so yeah, just gonna start from the beginning. So from the whole board of the NQHA, I wanna welcome everyone to this webinar. Today we're gonna look at the judge's perspective. And with us are Scott Neuman, Connor Smith, and Joanne Canito from the AQHA. There will be a presentation in the beginning. And for this part, everyone will be muted. Then when you have questions, you can ask them in the Q&A section that is at the top of your screen. And we'll get to those questions later on. So after the presentation, you'll be able to ask questions by raising your hand, and then we'll unmute you so that you can actually ask the question in person. And as I mentioned, this is recorded, and we will also be uploading it to YouTube after the meeting or after the webinar. So with that, I would actually like to give the word to Scott. And yeah, everybody just ask your questions and enjoy. So Scott, take it away.
Hi, everyone. Thanks for joining. And we are sure looking forward to coming over to the Euro Summit. We're going to be there, our international team, and they'll be able to do some on-site services, and we'll be able to help with the show and answer questions. And we're looking forward to it a lot. So today, we just went through some of the bigger, probably best entered classes: showmanship, horsemanship, unseat equitation, ranch riding, and ranch trail. We have some videos for you to watch, sort of some what would be considered ideal maneuvers, ideal looking pattern. And then we also have some of the most commonly experienced and called penalties. So as Anya said, as we go along, if you have questions, Joanne here is watching the Q&A for us, and we're going to try not let the questions get too stacked up. So she's going to be letting me know those questions as we go along, and we'll try to get those answered so we don't get sort of too far onto the next subject. So anyway, with that being said, just so you know, we were talking to our friends before we got on, and for those of you there, we are enjoying a lovely 93 degree, maybe 33 degree Celsius day here in Amarillo. So we are, we've sort of skipped spring already. We went from winter to summer. So anyway, Connor, we'll go ahead and start the presentation. So we're going to start with showmanship, and as you can see on your screen, we have the description. Showmanship is designed to evaluate the exhibitor's ability to execute in concert with a well-groomed and conditioned horse a set of maneuvers prescribed by the judge with precision and smoothness while exhibiting poise and confidence and maintaining a balanced, functional, and fundamentally correct body position. So we have been provided with some of the patterns. First we're going to watch a world champion run from this last year. This is the amateur showmanship from the World Championship show last year. And we just wanted to show you this young lady really represents excellence in pretty much every one of her maneuvers. So like I said, after if you watch her, you have questions or anything, always just pop those in the Q&A. So right here, you know, the description says that these horses are to work in concert with the handler. You don't see a lot of tension on her chain. She has a lot of confidence in her walk. She looks pleasant and relaxed. Something you're wanting to watch here is that distance between her horse and her hand and her body remains the same. Her horse is basically functioning off of what she is doing in her body, and it's not being pulled along. And subsequently, you can see when it's not being pulled along, a lot of the time in the pattern, the horse's ears are up. think one of the most important attributes you see in this young lady is that she's really efficient and she's smooth and does things quickly, but without being rushed. She doesn't look like she's being rushed. She looks like she has a clear plan for how she was going to execute this pattern. And right now, the plan looks to be working out perfectly. Aside from that, of course, you can see the horse is groomed perfectly. Everything fits on her. The horse has a nice, bright expression. You know, this is a lot of pattern. There's lots of turns and backing and stopping, but this was the finals at our World Championship show. So we really have to test the exhibitors to make sure that they can do everything right to the highest degree of difficulty.
I'd like to state, like, we understand that the video quality on your end, as we're sharing it, is not coming through completely as we're seeing it. And when we share the recorded, you can go back and look at those videos and they should be displaying correctly.
Joanne, what are they not seeing? Or is it just quality?
It's the quality is like speeding up to really quickly or pausing and then speeding up. And then
Oh,
pausing.
okay. So I guess you guys heard that. Yeah, it's not completely live. It's probably to do with the internet connection. But when this is posted later, you can watch those exactly as they go. So anyway, that was a really nice pattern, penalty-free. And honestly, no maneuvers in that pattern would require any negative scoring. All of the scoring in that pattern on your maneuver score would have been on the positive side. I would hate to say even if anything was a 0, it was probably anywhere from a +0.5 to a +1.5, and no penalties. Oh, yeah, and sorry, and pardon me, no penalties, no 3s, no 5s, and her maneuver scores would have been anywhere between a 1 and a 3. No penalties. So anyway, just watching on that, that's really a nice pattern. Any questions on anyone? All right. So what you're looking at here on your screen are 3 of the different patterns that are going to be presented to you at the Euro Summit. We have the level 1 horse non-pro, the youth, amateur, and select, and the level 1 youth and amateur. And you know, there's obviously showmanship's all about laying out your pattern correctly. So what you need to do when you get these patterns is you need to analyze the drawing, and then you also need to analyze the written words and make sure they match up. And if they don't match exactly, or you don't understand them exactly, you contact someone, show management, whatever, and iron that out so that you're on the right page when you go to do these patterns. These patterns are very well illustrated. And if you follow the wording on them, I think you won't have any problems at all. They pretty much all contain a back, number of turns, a setup, and some of them, the youth amateur one, and I think, just looking here, for sure involves an extended trot. So when you have an extended trot in your pattern, you need to know the speed that you and your horse are comfortable with in a regular trot. And then you need to make sure you have more that you can show off in your extended trot. We're going to show you a penalty clip here in a moment of someone who thought they had more extended trot and they ended up with a lope. And so, you know, some of those things when you're practicing are worth checking out. You want, like I said, reevaluate your regular trot, reevaluate your extended trot. And we all know that you want to have a pattern that's penalty free, but obviously if you're going to try to win, you're going to have to try to push the limits of what your horse can do. You're going to have to set them up precisely and quickly. That horse is going to have to move beside you. Your turns are going to, like this young lady in the pattern, your turns are going to have to be executed perfectly. And so obviously correct is the first goal, but once you're correct, then you have to try to figure out ways to squeeze out that extra 1 point, extra half point, extra point in your scoring. That's how you climb up in those placings and get yourself on top. So anyway, we're going to move on now. I think we have some penalty.
These are 3 additional.
Oh, I'm sorry. These are 3 more additional patterns. Once again, lots of circles. These are very well illustrated with the drawings where you walk, where you extended trot, where you turn. You know, one of them, there's many, many important things in showmanship, but one of the most important things is that your horse is straight, that it tracks straight to the judge, that when you're leading your horse, its body is not bent, that when you're trotting up to the judge, that its body's not bent, that when you back up, it's straight. Being straight is a real sign to the judges that your horse is working with you and not resting on the chain. Anytime they rest on the chain and you have to sort of drag them around, you're going to pull them, and you're going to pull them into a crooked body position. So straight, straight, straight. That's very, very important. And these patterns are excellent. There's some curves in them so that the judges can see if your horse tracks with you. And then there's, in all of the patterns, there's a point where it's a pretty good distance of straight, whether it's walking or trotting. And that's a real telltale sign for judges, is that if you can keep your horse perfectly straight. So we're going to show you these. Obviously, we don't have time today to go through all of the scoring and all of the penalties. We're going to show you some of the most commonly occurring penalties. So the first one you're going to see is the break of gait at the walk or trot up to 2 strides. Okay. This is all good. Everything's good here. This young lady's having a very good run. Could have been a little tiny bit smoother coming out of her setup into her turn, but still very good. Now she's going to get ready. One, two. So that horse sort of loped there on the front end, as you can see, hardly 1.5 strides. So that fits nicely in this penalty 3. Didn't break for a long time, but she did certainly for a little while. All right. Now this one, the penalty 5, break at the gait or walk at the walk or trot of more than 2 strides. And this is what I was warning you of for those of you in the amateur and the youth, that in the more difficult patterns with the extended trot, be careful of this, and you're going to see on the pattern what happens. She is to take off and then move up into an extended trot, and there she goes, and there he goes with a really nice right lead, and that's more than 2 strides, and so she's going to get a 5-point penalty there. So that's where it's really important that you guys take your time. Make sure that you have an extended trot and it looks different than a regular trot, but also don't go so fast that it looks like you're sprinting and that your horse breaks. Do any questions?
So we're going to open the chat. I'm trying to now. We understand that some people are not finding the Q&A up at the top of the screen where you can ask questions. And so I'm working on that right now to get that available for you. So you should be able to see it here shortly. And then we can go back to those classes if you have additional questions about the ones Scott has already covered.
All right, good. We'll, like Joanna will have that up shortly, and then you guys can ask questions in the Q&A. Let's move on now. And so this one is the horse stepping out of or moving the hind end significantly during a pivot or turn, which will be, there's a lesser penalty for a horse just sliding it a little bit, but this is the most substantial penalty, a penalty 5. So we'll watch this. This horse is almost perfect in his look, right? Bright, eyes are forward, ears up. Watch the hind foot. A lot of turning. And right there, the horse takes a full step to the, gets to the horse's left and moves out of his pivot position. That would be a penalty 5. And just so you know, when you're this turn, when a judge does not necessarily have to give a negative maneuver score that tracks with a penalty. So for instance, in this she had to do a spin and 3/4, I believe. She spun, it was accurate, it was done extremely well, and then the horse happened to step out. I, as a judge, would give this a penalty 5, a 0 as a maneuver score, or maybe even a +0.5 or a +1 with the penalty 5. It certainly wasn't a negative maneuver. All right. Okay, we're going to move on to some horsemanship stuff here. The Western horsemanship is designed to evaluate the rider's ability to execute in concert with their horse.
They did want to make a
Oh, yeah.
determination here that in Dutch it's called V&A, so maybe you're seeing V&A instead of Q&A, but we're getting the chat function up here in just a moment.
Gotcha. All right. So in the horsemanship is designed to evaluate the rider's ability to execute in concert with their horse a set of maneuvers prescribed by the judge with precision and smoothness while exhibiting poise and confidence and maintaining a balanced, functional, and fundamentally correct body position. The ideal horsemanship pattern is extremely precise, with the rider and the horse working in complete unison, executing each maneuver with subtle aids and cues. So just like the showmanship, and in the showmanship, you have the handler's body position and their hand as their communication with the horse. In the horsemanship, you have their hand on the reins, their seat in the saddle, and their legs on the horse's sides. And so you have a lot of stuff to take in with your eye when the horsemanship's going on. And what a judge is really, really looking for is that there is constant communication going on between the horse and rider, but it's not loud communication. There's no jerking on the reins. There's no big spurring in the belly. There's no big kicking. So there should be a constant communication going on, that rider and horse working together, knowing what's coming next, what they're doing now. And as the judge, we're looking for that rider who can communicate with their horse continually and yet maintain very, very good equitation at the same time. So just like before, we're going to watch a horse that scored very well at the World Show in the amateur Western horsemanship. Remember, as you watch here, you're watching how that, again, in this case, it's a young man connecting his horse through the bridle and his legs and his seat. Is he moving around a lot? Is his rein hand moving a lot? Are his legs moving a lot? The answer to all of those is no. He's very accurate, very precise. And as you can see now, the pattern called he's riding without stirrups. His upper body is square. His heels are down. His toes are correct. Clearly, he is communicating with his horse all the time as it goes from a faster lope to a slower lope to a lead change to a counter canter. Oh, he does not have stirrups right now because the pattern called for them, I believe, to drop their stirrups following the spins. Now, and you'll see there, and then in the pattern, at the end of the pattern, near the end, he has to pick up his stirrups. So for judges, with regards to those stirrups, what they're looking for is that he can drop those stirrups and pick them up with ease, meaning that his leg basically always stays in the same position. So on this one, you've pretty much got to see every gait: a jog, an extended jog, a lope, an extended lope. And that one, we even come back and do a side pass at the end. So, you know, asking for a side pass and a spin, the difference of those cues is rather subtle, right? And so for these judges, they're watching to see that these horses and riders are communicating that well. Any more questions?
We do have some questions.
Yep, go ahead. We got some questions now, guys.
So how do you judge a horse behind the vertical?
So in this, that's a good question. The question is, how do you judge a horse behind the vertical in its head and neck? So the way to do this, so I think first off, I would explain it like this. The first thing and the most important thing is that there is communication going on between the rider and the horse. Some horses are heavy in their mouth and they lean on the bridle and they poke their nose out. Other horses are very light in the bridle and they come back off the bridle very easily, and they do, and they'll get behind the bridle. What your job as a judge is, and how I judge it, I judge a horse if he's behind the bridle and he is angry, if he's not happy, if he's showing duress, some anxiousness, some nervousness. That's when I think I take score lower because it's behind the bridle. In this horse's case, at times the reins were, you could see they were moving around a little. So this horse, he was, I wouldn't call it loose reins at all. He certainly had a feel, but in my mind as a judge, and there was no swishing of the tail, nothing big, I would say this horse was quite light in the bridle and subsequently was behind the bridle. So for a judge, when the judge judges that, there's no black and white. You can't, as a judge, you can't say, well, this one's behind the bridle and I'm going to give it lower than a 70, or this one's out in front of the bridle and I'm going to give it higher than a 70. It's all very dependent on the run. It's all very circumstantial. I hope that makes sense.
We have a few more.
Yeah.
So a few people would like you to talk about F and E and in the showmanship and horsemanship, and what qualities on the rider handler separate a higher F and E score from lower. And then also we'll stop there.
Okay. So the question regarding this, some people wanted a explanation on an F and E, the form and effectiveness score on these pattern classes, and how a judge comes up with that, and how you can raise that score. So I think the very first one, as I told you, is the judge in the showmanship, the Hunt Seat Equitation, and the Western horsemanship is looking to see that the rider or the handler and the horse are working in unison. That's the first step. If you can work in unison with some subtle cues very quietly, then I think you're probably going to get, this is for me when I speak of this, you're going to get in the 2 or 3 range, which is average to above average. You're working in unison with your horse, you're communicating with your horse, but maybe you're not that subtle. Maybe, you know, when you're setting your horse up, you have to move your hand a bit. When the distance between your horse changes, when you're in the horsemanship or the Hunt Seat Equitation, you still do this. Even if the horse is good, you could be, there's a higher degree of difficulty. So to move up into the 4 and the 5 for the F and E is when you can do all of those things, but it's almost invisible. So then the judge, as it's called, it's form and effectiveness. This young man was good at it. He had great form, absolutely great form. He was squaring his shoulders. His leg was underneath of him. Everything was good. And by the quality of his maneuvers, he was very effective. So And so that's how we arrive at those scores. Judges do it a little differently. That is why sometimes, and this is the form and effectiveness is a wonderful tool for a judge, because sometimes, I'll give you a scenario. A person comes in the horsemanship, they have an extremely well-trained horse, they ride through the pattern with a little bit looser reins, too loose. So to me as a judge, they don't look like they're communicating with the horse all the while, even though the horse performs the maneuvers very well. I would give that a 2 F&E. Then I can have somebody come in on a 3 or a 4-year-old and they have a snaffle bit, and every time they pull on the reins, the horse gives to the bridle, it backs up, their legs stay in a good position, their upper body does. The maneuvers are a little bit slower, but they're correct. For me as a judge, I can say, oh, there's a really good rider who has good form and is way more effective than the one with the droopy loose reins. I hope that explains that a little bit. But so the form and effectiveness is a way for judges, us judges, to exercise our opinion based on what's in front of us on how you're doing with communicating with your horse. Any more, Joanne?
Yes.
Okay.
So they're referring to the video.
Yes.
The horse's pull is below the withers. Is that preferred? That is not preferred, isn't it?
So again, like behind the bridle and below the wither, that is a form of function and of confirmation and of many different things on the horse. So in a perfect world, we would love to see the horse level with its nose poked out a little bit and but still on the bridle. As a realist, we know that what I just described happens very rarely. For horses to perform all the maneuvers that this young man did, spinning, backing, side passing, going fast, going slow, those are difficult maneuvers, right? And so to perform those difficult maneuvers, he has a little shorter rein and to do those difficult things. So like I said, it's all form and function, right? If he had to lope down the arena on the right lead, stop and lope the rest of the way on the left lead, I would expect that his horse's nose would be poked out and his neck would probably come up a bit because the maneuvers would be very, very easy. But with the maneuvers in this pattern, we don't have the time to show you, but if I showed you all 15 of these, they probably very much all look like this because of the degree of difficulty.
And then we had some questions about in-hand trail, because that's not in our presentation today, but Sydney's going to respond in the chat to
okay.
Marie.
So the person who put the in-hand trail question in the chat, watch the chat. We're going to answer that in the chat. Good to go on?
Yep.
All right, we'll go on now. Here's one of the patterns that we got from the Euro Summit that's going to be for the horsemanship. Again, like the showmanship, have a good look at these. Have a good look at the arena. All of the patterns are about the maneuvers, but they're about the planning, right? You have to plan exactly where you're going to go. If there's a sign on the wall, you're going to turn at whatever sign. You're going to look for this spot in the arena so that your pattern lays out perfectly. So this one, you have some extended trot and some square corners. Square corners are great maneuvers because when you turn your horse quickly at an extended trot, you use some of your outside leg, and so it often inspires a break of gait and a lope. So you've got a couple of those here, a back, a spin. I would tell you, like the showmanship, accuracy and correctness always should beat speed. Always. Don't go fast and sort of out of control. Never. If you can go faster and stay perfectly in control, great. That's a high degree of difficulty. But always go for perfectly correct. And anyway, so that's got some. So here we're going to go on. We're going to see a horsemanship break of gait at the walk or jog up to 2 strides. This is a penalty 3. Oh yeah, we've got a question before.
can your horse do all of the maneuvers on a drape rein?
So the question was, can your horse do all of the maneuvers on a draped rein? I would tell you that any judge who has good knowledge would not want you to do your maneuvers on a draped rein. They would want, because we're wanting to see your connection with the horse, and that connection is threefold, as I told you. It's your hand, your seat, and your legs. So even if you can control your horse on a draped rein with your seat and your legs, save that for the trail and the Western pleasure. In the horsemanship, you want to be showing with some connection in your hand. I hope that answered your question. All right, we're going to go ahead and we're going to look at this penalty clip. So this is a breaker gait at the walk, a trot, or trot for under 2 strides. There you go. That was a 1 solid lope stride that was not meant to occur. And actually, that is exactly the same maneuver that's in your pattern. So that pattern we had on there in coming up at the Euro Summit has two or three square turns. Connor, can you replay that? We're going to watch this. So beware on these square turns. She's going to go to a faster trot now. Here she goes. She's going to turn her head. She's going to look where she's going. And whoops, lope off. So those are difficult maneuvers. They look rather, I don't know if they look simple, but they don't look especially difficult. They're because the rider and the horse have such good communication, that it's easy for those horses to figure that that is a lope transition. So, all right, we'll move on. All right, here we have the incorrect lead or break of gait at the lope, except when correcting an incorrect lead. This one lopes off from the... Oh, okay. Yep. So this is an incorrect lead. We're going to watch this one. This one's going to lope off in the right lead. In the right lead, and it's supposed to go across the diagonal. Stay. Going along on the right lead. Oop. There you go. Was not supposed to have a lead change there. They were supposed to speed up there. Play that one more time, please. So she goes, and you can see that when she gets ready and she's going to start to speed up, going to speed up now, and whoops, little miscommunication, and then back to the correct lead. That's a penalty 5. All right, an incorrect lead or break a gait at the lope, except when, so this one, same penalty, but remember, this rider is supposed to take off in the right lead. This is the same pattern we just watched, same pattern. This one's supposed to take off in the right lead. And she walks up to the cone, whoop, left lead, and then reality sets in, and whoop, and she corrects it. So there, she does not get she gets the penalty for the incorrect lead, but the break for her to fix that, you don't count that. That she just gets the 5-point penalty for going off in the wrong lead. The break of the lope to get back to the correct is not a penalty.
And
Yeah.
saying the horse.
Yep. Yeah. Again, that the horse is behind the vertical, and I'm going.
I'd like to add a little bit more to that.
Yeah. Go ahead.
She's
Oh, got you. Type
But we
it.
do have another question.
Yeah.
What do you look for at the rail work in the horsemanship?
Okay. So the question was, what does a judge look for in the rail work in the horsemanship? So essentially, the judge is looking for exactly what they looked at in the pattern. Connection between your hand, the horse's mouth, your seat, the horse's back, and your legs and their side. Now, of course, what happens in the rail work is then the judge also gets to analyze how you navigate traffic, how you do transitions up and down, and how you maintain your position for a little bit longer, extended period of time, right? In the pattern, sometimes maneuvers only last a few seconds. On the rail, you have to go longer. So frequently, especially at the high level shows, we'll have them do the majority of their rail work without stirrups so that we can see that they can maintain their position. Now, obviously not in level 1 classes or rookie or the low ones, but that's what we're looking for. Same attributes on the rider, same all of those things, and how they navigate traffic. And I saw the question about how do you navigate what a horse with its mouth open. All you do is you take that into account. That's the best way of saying it. You certainly don't want to get rid of your best pattern and best rider because the horse opens its mouth a little bit. By the same token, if the horse is opening its mouth because the rider is jerking and pulling on it, then that's a negative, right? There's so many things to take into an account. And honestly, that's why it takes a while to become a judge, because judges should never make a snap decision like that. They should never say, oh, that horse's mouth is open or that horse's neck is low, and move the rider down or up in their placings. A judge's job is to look at the mouth, the neck, how the horse is holding in the bridle, and go, oh, is that a result of how the rider's doing it, or is that a result of the horse's conformation? Is that a result, or is that just happening on the horse, not because the rider's doing it? So all in all, if you have two horses that are perfectly even, you would prefer the one with the quiet mouth. But I'm here to tell you, judged for 25 years, you don't ever have two horses that are perfectly even. And you won't utilize that. You will take it into account a little bit.
The horse, so to follow up on the question before, the horse comes behind the vertical. How do you rate this in the score?
So again, with the horse behind the vertical, I take it into account, just what I said, conformation, what the maneuvers are. If the maneuvers are very difficult, the person has to have a tighter hold on the horse. So it adds to the degree of difficulty. So many, many things go into that. I just feel from the conversation, I'm going to tell you something right here that, and this is by no means not unlike a lot of observers. There's a lot of observation in this presentation, and this is a sort of a lesson in how a judge sees it. We are hearing from the questions that you all watching are able to spot a negative in the pattern, a negative on the rider, and a negative in the maneuver. What a judge's responsibility is to analyze those, take into account the negative, but always, always reward the positive. So to those questions, when a horse is a little behind the bridle, a little mouthy on the bridle, a little all that, it goes in. But if that thing goes in there and that rider rides perfectly, the horse responds to all the cues, all of the maneuvers are done with exceptional speed and accuracy, I'm going to reward. Then I'll go back and I'll say, well, he's a little bit behind the bridle, and I'll take off just a little teeny bit.
We do have another question.
Yep.
Are you still judged when you are sitting on your horse in
the
lineup, waiting for the rail work, watching the other competitors riding their pattern?
So, like if they, the question was, if they put all of the horses into the arena and you're standing against the rail and the other horses are going, are you still being judged? So I will tell you, as a judge, nobody's actively looking at you down there. Now, that being said, if I'm sitting in my chair and I look this way to see the next rider take off, and I see you sitting on your horse against the rail, jerking and pulling on your horse, absolutely that is going to reside in my head when you start your pattern. So I would say you're not being judged in a mathematical way, but you are being judged on your level of professionalism and your horsemanship there. And as a judge, I'm going to give a nod to somebody down there who sits quietly on their horse and starts. If I see you down there jerking and pulling on your horse in the lineup, I'm going to presume that you had to do that. And every time you did that, you lessened the degree of difficulty of your pattern.
And there's another question here. If I don't have a flashy horse, is that considered negative? For example, a ranch horse doing horsemanship?
So the answer was, if I don't have a flashy horse, someone with a ranch horse in the horsemanship, that is absolutely not a negative, not at all. We see our ranch horses here in North America more and more in lots of classes. Saw a horse when JoJo was a few years ago, win the horsemanship at the Youth World Show that was a reiner and a ranch horse. What a judge is looking for now, when you say not flashy, no, it doesn't need to be flashy. It needs to be groomed perfectly. It needs to have a good hair coat. It needs to be turned out, presented very well. The manner in which you present it, whether if it's as a ranch horse or if you have good equitation and your pattern is performed accurately and all the other things, you'll be judged just like any other horse. And I've looked at the judges that are you having at your show, and I can tell you that with 100% assuredness. Those judges do not care what horse it is. They're watching rider, horse, how it's performed, and how you ride.
We have another question here.
Mhm.
How do you judge a turn in horsemanship? Does the inside hind leg need to stay fixed like in showmanship?
So in the question was, how do we judge a turn in the horsemanship, and is it judged like a turn in the showmanship? And the answer is no, it's not judged like a turn in the showmanship. There are no penalties for moving your pivot foot. That being said, we certainly want to see a horse cross over correctly in front, which is outside front foot over the inside one, move around its hip. So
Sorry, everyone. I think just had a little technical problem here. Let's see if Scott and Connor can rejoin soon. So in the meantime, you guys could see some of the patterns already that are going to be listed for the Euro Summit. We'll be posting those very shortly so that you guys can all get started with your practices. Also, the deadline is coming up for the entries, so
Sorry, everyone. We are just we're going to restart the computer that Scott's on real fast. It'll just take us just another moment, and we've switched the audio, so hopefully that will help as well. So we'll be right back on.
Okay, thanks.
We also switched our internet connection, so hopefully that will help tremendously here.
Okay, so yeah, the deadline is coming up. So there's 4 days left for all the entries. It's already going very well with the entries, so it'll be a very nice big show, and we're looking forward to having everyone at the Bilberg again. We're working on a few extra activities as well, so that you guys can do some fun stuff. Fun class for the Friday night, and some write patterns that we're working on with a few trainers. So there will be something for everyone. We will have a writers' meeting on Sunday night, during which we will use some time to let everybody know about practical things, about the facility or the how the show will work. So if you've never been, or if you just want to come and say hi and get all the details of this year's edition, then come over to the writers' meeting on Sunday evening. We will communicate the time later on. We're working on the pattern book again to have you informed of all of the details. And the question was, Tim is going to do a clinic again this year. Yes. He will be there. He's always part of the team. Yeah, so we can look forward to that. Any other trainers? I don't have the list right now, but so Elif Schleiniger will do one of the right patterns. For the other trainers, we will need to come back to you. Oh, there we go.
Here we are.
Now you can speak.
Can you hear us?
Yep. Okay, I'm gonna
we will
hand it back over to you.
Yep, and while we're getting the PowerPoint booted back up, we'll answer some questions.
So I don't think they got to hear your answer about the turn in horsemanship. How do you judge a turn in horsemanship? Does the inside hind leg need to stay fixed like in showmanship?
So we'll go back to that question. The question was, how do we judge a turn in the horsemanship, and do we judge it the same way as in the showmanship? And the answer is no. So there's no penalties at all for moving a pivot foot whatsoever. We're looking for a nice fluid motion, front legs crossing over correctly, horse staying at a consistent speed around the turn, not leaning up against the ride or anything. If they move their hind end a little bit, that's permissible, absolutely. You know, if you compare things perfectly, one to the other, if one is very, very accurate with its pivot foot, that's great.
Hold on. Bruna, hold on. Let me share the screen real fast. There we go. You have access now.
All right. So now we are back up here. I think this is maybe where we went astray. This horse is to step up to the cone and take off in the right lead. And go ahead. Oh, that's the one we watched. Let's watch that one more time. How do you go back? There we go. Instead, of course, she takes off in the left lead instead of the right lead. She brakes to fix it, and then that way. So, you know, she had quite a few strides of wrong lead there. We only call the penalty 5 for the wrong lead, not for the brake to fix it. She had to fix that lead one way or the other, and so you don't call her a brake for fixing it. All right. We will move on with some hunt seat equitation. The purpose is to evaluate the ability of the hunter rider to perform various maneuvers on his or her horse, which provides a base for natural progression to over fence classes. The communication between horse and rider through subtle cues and aids should not be obvious. Equitation is judged on the rider and his or her effect on the horse. So for all of these classes, showmanship, horsemanship, and hunt seat equitation, we're looking for connection between the horse and the rider, seat, hands, legs, and we want those cues to be subtle, quiet, and have the horse perform them accurately and when they're asked. So this is the finals pattern, a world champion pattern in the, is it select or level 3? Level 3 amateur at our world championship show. So we'll go ahead and watch this. All right. Now, right there, you can watch, and again, this horse is behind the bridle a little teeny bit. She has a snaffle in its mouth. Its ears are up, and and she has connection with its mouth. So I absolutely would not count that as a negative. Not at all. On the contrary, the horse is responsive. It's listening. It's happy. Sitting trot to a leg yield. Left lead canter. She had a lead change there. A counter canter corner. Now she's going to 2-point. She's going to get up. She's going to shorten her reins, still maintaining contact with the horse's mouth. Down to a walk. That was an excellent transition. That's a +3 transition. That horse went from a forward canter down to a walk. No weird steps in between. She turns there. Now you'll notice she doesn't have her stirrups either. We make them drop their stirrups in the English as well. Now she's posting on the correct diagonal. No stirrups. Looks like a great leg position. You couldn't hardly, unless you were looking at it, you couldn't tell that she had dropped her stirrups. Diagonal change. Down to a walk. She picks up her stirrups. She's done. That was excellent, right? Very nice. A responsive horse, an accurate pattern, and very good equitation on the rider's part. Any questions?
Yeah, there is a question. How do you judge a not steady top line neck in horsemanship or hunt seat equitation?
Again, we're looking the top line on the neck and the top line of the horse. You know, you'd like it to be consistent, whatever it is. If it's up, down, whatever, you'd like it to stay the same. So it's all about what's happening, not that it's an unsteady top line. What's more concerning to a judge is that the horse is going in and out of the bridle, which then tells you as a judge the communication is not consistent between the rider and the horse. So if they lift their head, the communication lapsed, and then the rider pulls on the rein a little, and then the head and neck goes below. It's all judged sort of together as one giant picture. And what you're looking for there is not, I would say, I don't judge an unsteady top line. what I judge is a lack of communication between the rider and the horse's mouth. That's more important.
Okay, we have a few more.
Okay, some more questions?
For the hand gallop, do you prefer to have the shorter rein by taking the other rein or just going up with fingers in the top of the reins?
Like, so how you.
How do you shorten your reins? There's a number of different ways you can shorten. Oh, I'm sorry. The question was basically, how should somebody shorten their reins when you go to a 2-point position so they maintain consistent contact? So when you go to a 2-point position, obviously your upper body tilts forward a little, so the distance between your hand and your horse's mouth becomes less. If you leave your reins the same length, your reins get loose. You don't want that. So a rider can, I don't know if you can see me, can crawl up the reins like this. A rider can take the reins, grab both and pull like this, pull on the 2 reins together and then grab them when they're short. Most of all, what a judge wants to see is A, that the rider does shorten those reins, and B, that the rider shortens those reins in a way that doesn't interrupt the horse, so that it's a smooth move with their hands.
Okay, and for 2-point position at the trot, should the horse trot faster than in the sitting trot?
No. So in an ideal, the question was, in a 2-point, should a horse trot faster than a posting trot or a sitting trot? So unless in the pattern it says extend your trot or collect your trot, a sitting trot, a 2-pointing trot, and a posting trot should all be the same rhythm, unless it says otherwise. So if it says collect your horse and slow your trot, obviously do that. Or if it says extend your trot, you can go forward. But other than that, if I'm a judge and you're going to go from a right diagonal to a sitting trot to a 2-point, if I'm watching your horse's legs, that should be the same tempo, the same rhythm.
And can you talk a little about the body position and hunt seat, stirrup length, hands, etc., and how is the body position and hunt seat different from horsemanship?
Okay, so the body position isn't, the question was just to give a sort of a basic overview of position. So the only real difference maybe is that in the hunt seat, and especially as you remember on the description of the event, it said this is a precursor, you're getting ready to go over fences. So the rider is sometimes expected to move from a full seat, where their seat is deep in the saddle, to a half seat, which is like a 2-point. So a rider's position changes. Now, that being said, when I say a rider's position changes, that's the top of the rider. The legs and the should always be the same. So when a rider is in a full seat, the upper body should be very, very, very much like the horsemanship. Square shoulders, shoulders over top of your hips, elbows at your side, contact with the reins. Then, if you're looking at this horse on the screen right now, the stirrups should be at a length. If you take your foot out of the stirrup and hang your foot down, that stirrup should hit you a little above the ball of your ankle, okay? So the stirrups might be just a twinge shorter, and for anyone who's jumped fences knows that's a position of security. Your stirrups you're way less to lose your stirrup if they're just a twinge shorter. So we want that stirrup to be in a place where your heel automatically drops down, okay? A nice bend in your knee, a bend in your hip, and a bend in your ankle. When you go to a 2-point, the bend in her ankle and the bend in her knee and the bend in her hip should all be very similar, okay? She's not 2-pointing yet, but she will.
When she get to the 2-point, can you explain what a 2-point position is?
Yes. So here she is. She's in a 2-point now. So in a 2-point position, you raise your seat off the tap. You don't raise. That's a bad word. You lighten your seat. You get off the horse's back a little. You tilt your upper body forward just a hair, shorten the reins. So in a practical sense, what a 2-point does for you in when you're jumping fences is it lightens the load on your horse's back, and it makes it easier for your horse to gallop forward a little bit. So if you're in a pattern, and that's why if you ever have to do a hand gallop, it should be done in a 2-point position. You lighten your seat, and you do not, I want to get this correct. You lighten your seat off the horse's back. You should not, you don't stand in your stirrups. Okay, do not stand in your stirrups. You just lighten it a little bit off your horse's back. Gives your horse a little more freedom. When it gives your horse freedom, you wrap your leg around your horse a little more, and you encourage them to gallop forward a little bit. So that's about the 2-point.
Do you prefer that the exhibitor starts immediately with the pattern or stops and nods to the judges before they start with the pattern?
That's a good question. The question was, do we prefer if the rider starts from a standstill, or if they ride to the cone and as they ride, they just start the pattern while they're moving? Honestly, for me, it doesn't bother me either way. And I've trained horses. Sometimes that is the rider is so smart, because some horses, when they get to the cone and they stand there, they get nervous and they get antsy and they get anxious. So some rider might be extremely, extremely smart and gently walk their horse up to the cone and take off. Then sometimes because the horse in front of you is slow or whatever, you have to start from a standstill. So I think for most of these judges, unless your pattern says begin at the whatever, you can walk up to that cone and start. The main thing a judge doesn't want to have to do a lot is wait. That's it. A judge wants to look down there and be able to start scoring.
And how do you judge a rider's toes going out, or do you prefer parallel feet?
So the question was, in the English riding, how do we weigh in a rider who turns their toes out versus a rider with parallel? There's actually a middle there that should happen, maybe a little degree turned out. But when you ride in an English saddle, you should have your leg wrapped around your horse, meaning the inside muscles on your leg and your bottom part of your leg. When a toe turns out, then your lower leg grasps the horse, and your knee, if you look at this girl right here, your knee will come off that saddle. If you're watching someone and you can see daylight, or you can slip a piece of paper between their knee and the saddle, chances are their toes are turned out. So your toes shouldn't be maybe directly forward, but definitely you do not want to be gripping the saddle with the back of your leg and the back of your calf. You want to be gripping those with the inside. Yep. So here are some of the hunt seat equitation patterns that you're going to see. Same thing here. You've got trotting. You have collected canter. I believe, is there a counter canter in one? Yes, there's a counter canter in one of these. There is some sitting trots. So you get to here again, excuse me, perform all of the different maneuvers. These are very nice. Yeah.
Can you turn it beforehand?
Oh, yes. Yes. The question was, when on a pattern, it says to do a turn on the forehand, what is right and what is left? So it's a little different. I want you to think about this. If you are doing a turn on the forehand to the right, your horse's nose will be tipped to the right, and you will cue your horse with the right leg. If you're going to do a turn on the forehand to the left, your horse's nose will be tipped to the left. You'll use your left leg and move your horse away, move your horse's haunches away from your left leg. Good question. All right. Here's another pattern. This is a pattern that looks like the one we just did almost. It could be. And so this has a leg yield. So a leg yield at the trot, you want to have your horse moving forward and diagonally at the same time. Again, this is almost like a square corner in the horsemanship. While you're trotting and your horse is moving diagonally and forward, it's very, very easy to commit the mistake and break to the canter. So just beware of that. And by the way, when you're doing a leg yield, you should be sitting in the saddle. No posting, no 2-pointing. When you're doing a leg yield, sit down in your saddle. All right, we're going to look here, hunt seat equitation, missing a diagonal, up to 2 strides in the pattern or on the rail. Here we go. This young lady's sitting. Sitting trot. She's going to turn to trot towards us. She's going to 2-point. Then she posts, and changes. She knew she was on the wrong diagonal and she changed. That is a penalty 3, missing a diagonal for 2 strides or less.
At the previous patterns, were they all okay to start in right gait and not from a halt?
Yes. So that's the pattern again. Yep. Unless the question was again, is it okay? Is it correct to start, just roll into your pattern or start from a stop? And unless the pattern says begin by standing to the right of the cone or you can walk up and go for sure.
Okay.
Yeah. All right. Hunt seat equitation, incorrect lead or break of gait at the canter, except when when correcting an incorrect lead. Here we go. This is a lovely horse. Nice carriage on the horse. Nice canter. Quiet hands. That's okay. So this one we talked about a lot, and we're not so sure. There was an interruption in that gait. You could see there. So we watched this many, many times. And as a judge sees that, we thought at first when we watched this that was a break. But then we watched it again and we're not so sure that that's a break of gait at the canter. So go ahead, Connor.
They can't see what
Seeing.
it's not.
Okay. So anyway, what we decide, and if a judge, if you can't make up your mind if a horse breaks or not, you let that go to the rider. So here, what I would do is I would give this rider a negative maneuver in the canter, but no penalty points. All right. We're going to move on to this one has a couple mistakes in it. This one's going to miss a diagonal up to 2 strides in the pattern, and it's going to have a break of gait at the walk or trot for more than 2 strides. We're going to watch this one. So the first thing that's going to happen here before we even go is you're going to see somebody who's 2-pointing on a loose rein, which is just what we talked about. We don't want to see this. She should have shortened these reins and had a feel of her horse's mouth. And because she doesn't have a feel of her horse's mouth, that's what leads to the problems.
She should 2-point to the right.
Yeah. All right. She should be going from the 2-point to the right diagonal. She goes to the left. Oh, so she broke the diagonal. Then she broke to the canter for 3 or 4 strides, and then she trotted off correctly. So she gets a 3-point penalty for her her missing the diagonal for 2 strides or less. Then she gets a 5-point penalty for a break of gait at the walker trot for more. There she breaks, and away she goes. All right. Any more? What time is it? All right, we're good. So ranch riding, we know the ranch ridings. Some questions. We'll get some questions first.
If your horse can't perform flying changes yet, how short can the break be during a simple change to get the best possible score?
So the question was, if your horse does not yet do flying changes, what's the best possible way to do a simple change? So you can do a simple change through a walk. You can do a simple change through a trot, but the best simple change is simply a break in canter rhythm that lasts half of a stride. It breaks just like you were going to a walk or a trot, and then it lopes off in the other lead or canters off in the other lead. So the less strides, the better. The less strides. But again, that all, once again, depends on smoothness. Don't do a 1 stride or less simple change. If you have to really jerk on your horse or, make a big move, make it softer and have a couple trot strides.
And how do you judge when someone is looking down to pick up the correct diagonal?
It's 3 or 5. 5.
I'm looking.
So when the question was, how do you judge when someone obviously looks down for their diagonals? That's a penalty 3. And most judges are fairly lenient here. Most judges won't call you for looking down unless the brim of your hat, your hunt cap, actually tips down and looks. They want you to, obviously the best way to pick up a diagonal is by feel and with rhythm of your horse. But if you look down and you look down, obviously you'll probably get a 3-point penalty.
Okay, we're good.
That's what, yeah, you know, so there's I need to go back and fix that. I apologize. It was a 3 and I was getting different with the break. If you look down, obviously you need a 5-point penalty. Okay. A 5-point penalty. So that's really important. Obviously diagonals are an important thing for hunt riders. So just really pay attention to those. And think about this. If you pick up the wrong one for under 2 strides, you get a 3-point penalty. If you look down, you get a 5-point penalty. So if you're not very good at your diagonals, you might want to consider those options. That's okay. So what we're going to show you here in the ranch riding is just, is this the world champion? We're going to show you the world champion, just so you can get an idea of the look. This horse comes in the arena and already you like it. He's got his ears up. He looks happy. He obviously makes a move to step over the log correctly. He has a nice forward walk. That's an excellent walk. Steps right off into an extended lope. Way he goes. Comes around that wagon. He's going to do a flying lead change. You don't see any resistance in this horse, right? He's not fussy. He's doing what he's told on time. Relaxed. He has a little contact with him, sometimes more, sometimes less, but the horse takes it all. There's an extended trot. Now he's going to show off some steering skills. We want to watch these horses and make sure that they're accurate and that they steer right and left equally. Remember, in the ranch riding, there are no penalties for ticking or hitting a log. You just take it in the maneuver score. There's a spin one way, then the other. He had a backup there. You know, when you're riding a ranch horse, for one of the things you do on a ranch, unlike a show, is you ride a ranch horse sometimes all day. So when judges are looking at these ranch horses, they're thinking, how would I like to sit on that horse all day long? And I would be thinking, I would pay a lot of money to sit on that horse all day long. That's a nice horse. And then on this ranch pattern, you just had to swing your rope on your way out of the arena. A couple more little things. So that's the pattern there. On the way out, he takes a log and heads out.
Scott, do you mind the diagonal if you post in the extended trot?
Nope. So in the ranch riding, when you do extended trot, you can 2-point, you can post, you can sit. You can do any of those. And it's all good. And you can hold the horn as well. If you get up in a 2-point and you want to hold the horn on the saddle in the ranch riding, that's absolutely permissible. Doesn't matter, and it doesn't matter what diagonal you're on either. So it's pretty open there for when you do the extended trot at the
She's asking the same question.
Oh, same question. So the question is, what about posting in the working Western rail? Same answer. You can post, obviously just at the regular trot, I would sit. Then when you'd go to the extended trot, you could sit it, you could post it, or you can 2-point it in the working Western rail.
Do you mind if the horse is straight in the trot turns?
Oh, so the question was, do you mind if or how would I evaluate a horse that kept a straight body in the tight turns? For me, and I think most judges, if a horse is able to bend around the turn, tip his nose slightly right, and then tip his nose slightly left, that's ideal. You really, you want a horse that conforms to the turn. Now, this pattern was very difficult. These turns were sharp, but in the grand scheme of things, in the ranch riding, when your outside rein lays against your horse's neck, your horse should turn its nose and neck away from that.
And going back to the working Western rail, if you post on the wrong diagonal in the extended trot.
And the question was about the diagonals in the working Western rail. You should try to be on the correct diagonal, but again, it's not considered a fault. It's not considered a penalty, or like it is in the equitation. It doesn't matter. It doesn't really matter. Good. Good. All right, we'll show you a couple quick penalties here. Sometimes that happen in the ranch riding. So wrong lead or out of lead for 2 strides or less. All right, here we go. Watch this horse's legs. 1, 2, and change. So he changed half of his lead. He changed his front end for 2 strides, then his back end. So that is a penalty for 2 strides or less. All right, next one. This is out of lead or cross cantering more than 2 strides when changing leads. Here we go. Again. Beautiful lope there. Good looking horse. She's going to change leads, but only in front. 3 strides, 4 strides, and then change. So she's out of lead for more than 2 strides there. So she's going to get a 3-point penalty.
Scott, we have another question.
Yeah.
How much is acceptable to move the non-riding hand on the romal? So when you
So the question was, what's acceptable for your hand on the romal with the hand that's not the steering hand? You can move it around pretty much all you want. You also can take your romal and pull it through your hands like this. What is going to get you in trouble is if you're holding your romal, if you can see me in your camera, if you do this, if you ride with open hands, that's not how a romal was intended. You may even be disqualified. And if you get any fingers between those reins, you will get disqualified for sure. The way to hold a romal is like that, with a closed fist. And the hand on the open, the romal, you can move that around as you will. All right, here we have a break of gait at a walk or trot for more than 2 strides.
When you're pulling slack, is it okay to open your hand? Is the question.
Oh, the question is, when you are pulling the slack of your romal, is it okay to open your hand a little bit? To be perfectly honest, all I would do is release my tension on my hand a little. I would not go like this, because it's a real point of annoyance, if you will, for a lot of judges. The romals are a tradition here in the United States, and the tradition comes from a bridle horse, they call them. So the horse had a large spade bit in its mouth, and that is a Mexican tradition of a way to break horses in here. And the way you ride with a big bit like that is like you have only one hand. As soon as your fingers get in there, if you want to do that, you really need a bit that's broken somehow. right? These big, strong bits are meant to be held in one hand with a softer hold. So the answer there, long answer, is just loosen the grip on your hand a little, pull the slack, and go on. All right, here's our break a gait. Yeah, and there she go. 1, 2, and breaks. Oh, there we go. Good. Okay. I know I lose mine. All right, we'll do a little bit of ranch trail here. This class should test the horse's ability to cope with situations encountered while being ridden through the pattern of obstacles generally found during the course of everyday ranch work. The horse and rider team is judged on the correctness, efficiency, and pattern accuracy with which the obstacles are negotiated and the attitude and mannerisms exhibited by the horse. I think we have a question.
Yeah, so there's a clarification.
Yeah.
They're asking if we don't have a spade, don't use Romels.
No, so I'm sorry, I misled you there. Nope, the question was, if we're not using a spade bit, should we not use Romels? No, not at all. You can use a Romel on what you want, for sure. I was just explaining the tradition that it comes out of. Just the big thing, use a Romel on what bit you like and certainly what bit your horse likes the best. Just be cautious about putting your fingers in and near between those reins. What is this? Oh, this is a ranch trail winning run from the World Show. So unlike the other trail, in the ranch trail, one of the things we want to see is efficiency. When he goes through this gate, you're going to see something here. A lot of judges, they don't want to see you open that gate wide. You open that gate wide and cows get out of the pen. So you open the gate just enough to get your horse through. Now he's going to go to the other gate. See how he holds his Romels? He put his Romel and his hand around all of those. So he has his Romel and both reins in that hand. He's going to close that gate again, always keeping his horse in front of the hole there so no cattle could get out. Very nice side pass. Excellent. Then he's got to turn and side pass the other way. Little tiny maneuvers there, a walk around, just sort of seeing if your horse could negotiate, you know, if you were in a bunch of trees and woods, if they could get around those things. Very quiet horse. Remember, right now in the ranch trail, there's no half-point penalty for ticking a log. It's either a 1-point penalty or not at all. Little bit of an extended trot here. Little bit of steering. Horse, like the ranch riding horse before, very quiet, very nice in its mouth, very responsive. Extended lope. Flying lead change. Go to a nice walk here. In here, we have a tree to pull. You can have lots of things to pull. Make sure there, guys, I've noticed a couple, we went over a couple times and there was a drag with like some wheels on it. Don't use that, okay? Just get a log, just an old log, a tree, anything like that works great. One of the main thing you want with a drag is that when you stop, it stops. We also use a feed, like a feed bunk, and we put feed in there. And the other thing is, when you're working on your drags, you want that drag to, one of the things we do at our shows is we make sure the tree is heavy enough or so that it's not just floating around back there. We want to see how the horse actually drags something with some weight. Another little trot around here. He's going to step up here and he's got to do a back through like a U. Very responsive horse, doing an excellent job. Never loses rhythm in there. He backs in and he just keeps his rhythm all the way around the corner and everything. Excellent.
So Scott, is it okay to have a straight horse in the side pass?
Yes. So, ideally in a side pass, a straight horse is better. We want that horse to exhibit itself straightly. Most of all, in the side pass, you're going to watch those front and hind legs. And what you really want to see is the front legs cross and then the back legs cross and then the front and then the back. But either way, the question was, is it okay to have a straight horse in the side pass? And yes, it's preferred.
And then if I am close to the log, can I side pass a little before I go again?
Meaning,
Is that if you're too close to the log? Like,
oh, I
Yeah,
think the
or
question is,
too far.
like, if I'm like, I think it means if I'm too near or too far from the log, can I maneuver my horse a little before beginning the side pass? And the answer is yes, absolutely. You should always get your job as the pilot, the rider there, is to get your horse in the best possible position.
And if we misunderstood the question,
Yeah.
feel free to put it in
Yeah.
there again and we'll
We'll re-answer if we didn't understand. Good. All right. Do we have we have a few penalties here. Wrong lead or out of lead for more than 2 strides. All right.
let's go
Oh,
back.
let's-
Oh, did we get that? Okay. Yep. We're getting a clarification on the question.
so in a situation when you're leaving the log after the drag,
Oh,
if
so yes, again, the question was, you finished the drag and you're leaving the drag. Is it okay for me to side pass my horse a couple steps this way or that to get in a better position to exit that obstacle? Yes, that's absolutely okay, for sure. One of the big things so as a judge, what we're looking for in a drag is that you don't have the drag too close to your horse, so it's hitting your horse on the hind legs. B, you don't have the drag too long, so the rope gets under your horse's tail. C, that you keep the dally around your horn the whole time that you're doing that your horse drags with a consistent speed, be it a trot or a walk. And the last one, and it's quite important, is that you put that drag back where you found it. It goes in the same position.
and then one more.
Yeah.
You mentioned that posting on the right diagonal is not judged in the ranch classes. So when I'm in the extended trot and riding through like the plants in a serpentine, I would not need to change diagonals.
Correct. So that if you were riding through a serpentine on an extended trot and you were posting, you had chose to post as opposed to sit or 2-point, you do not need to change your diagonals. Nope, you do not.
Okay, good. So
All right. All right, here we go. Wrong lead or out of lead for more than 2 strides. That's his voice. Here we go, loping along. And she lopes over just a regular log, changes
I think the connection was lost again. Just a second. See that Joanne's still on the call. Maybe Sydney, could you maybe take over for a little bit with the sound? Because it seems like Joanne's computer is frozen.
Give her this one.
No,
No.
you're just gonna use that computer for the camera.
Oh, okay.
Yep. So take
Sound
that chair,
is still
take that,
good.
take that chair.
Okay,
Okay. We
Sounds like go
apologize
back.
for our technical problems.
Can everyone hear us again and see us?
yeah, I think so. Let's see
Okay,
in
and
the
you still see the
chat.
screen?
Yes, sound is on.
You know, I'd like to say, Anya, for our first time doing this, we've had a little, a few glitches, but all in all, it's going good. It's all in all, it's good.
Thank
The
you all for
content's
joining
good,
us.
so the glitches will be
Yes.
forgotten.
And thank you everyone for joining. So I think we just have on the screen right now, we're going to watch a 3-point penalty for 3 to 4 steps on a dismount on the ground tie. Okay, here
So
they
we
have to
can-
trot and then walk into, yeah,
Scott, we can't see the
Okay.
presentation at this moment. So
Oh.
I'm not sure if you're showing the
Okay.
video.
yeah. So we'll try it again. We're gonna fix. Sorry about that. Thank you, Anya. The good news is we've had Connor and Joanne and Sydney here to troubleshoot with our 3 laptops, because if it was me, we would be on a long, long break. Can you see it now? Not
It's
yet.
teamwork, right?
Well, I don't have, did you share it with me?
Can you share that?
We're working on it.
Or can you share it?
Let me see if I can share with you.
You know, it's what? It's 8:30, 9 o'clock. What time is it?
30? 9:30?
Is it 9:30 at your place?
For us, it's 9:30. Yeah, so
Oh, I mean, it's a
think,
perfect time. While we fix
we'll-
this, enjoy a nightcap on. Pretty much, yeah. I want to see this one, if it'll work. Oh, we got a lot of stuff going on. Yeah, I know. I'm sorry. I'm out of.
in the meantime,
Yeah.
The rest of the board was asking me also to promote our King's Day. So everybody wear orange on Monday of the Euro Summit, because that's King's Day in the Netherlands, and we
We'll have to
celebrate
take our.
the birthday of our
Oh.
king.
We're not there on Monday. Sad. Well, don't you
Oh,
worry.
no.
Joanne and I'll wear orange on another day.
That's all. That's fine.
Maybe
You
we'll
can
write-
also wear it on the 30th, because that's his mother's birthday, and there are still people who think that it's Queen's Day on that day,
Queen's
even
Day.
though he's been king for over 10 years, but that's also fine.
Well, we're going to wear
Oh,
our
no, sorry.
orange shirts
Oh, his
and we're
grandmother.
going
Yeah,
to
sorry.
can you hear me?
Yeah.
We're going to wear our orange shirts. We're going to ride our bicycles there. And after we're going speed skating so that we do everything Dutch.
So for those
set.
who are asking, the photos behind Scott are past presidents of AQHA. We're giving this presentation in our president's room.
It has the best internet connection, hopefully, for the president.
Well,
Oh, this is.
I didn't bring the thing. Scott can watch it here.
Yeah, it's okay.
So I think
Okay.
there's a question here that we can answer
Go ahead,
in the
Anya.
meantime, and it's, are we going to talk about raining this evening?
Sadly not. I can answer, like when we go do some live questions, I'll be happy to answer a question for sure. I don't have anything more in the presentation. Can you, oh, not yet.
No, it's not gonna go.
That's
Something's
fine.
loading for the
Yep.
screen sharing.
You see something now?
Yes.
Okay, so
All right. So this gentleman, he rides into this rope box. He's going to get off now and he is supposed to ground tie. So he gets off, ground ties, walks away. 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 steps for the horse. He's going to get a 3-point penalty for that. Ground ties are excellent maneuvers to put in these classes, and they really, really can tell you a lot about the communication between horse and rider.
And Scott, in a ranch class side pass, ticking a log would also not give penalties.
Correct. So the question was, if I'm in ranch riding and side passing and I tick a log, is that a penalty? The answer is no, that is not. But if you're side passing in ranch trail and you, then it's a judge's discretion. If you tick it, some judges might leave it alone, but certainly if you hit it and move it, you're going to get a 1-point penalty.
with one more penalty clip to show before we.
Yeah. Let's do the last one. This is your first or second cumulative refusal. So this is a really good horse that just has a spooky day. He walks up here. There's our feed bunk. And it's a refusal because he stops and he goes backwards. So he already incurred a 5-point penalty that time. Now she's going to walk up there and so far so good. She's going to side pass over and then he jumps away. The second 5-point penalty. Now she gets this going. If he was to do that a third time, he would be DQ'd. Okay. She did a great job there. And so this is a really interesting obstacle, and we talked about this. So she walked up there, he was frightened, and she got a 5-point penalty. She walked up there, and he was frightened again, and she got another 5-point penalty, and now he's dragging this just fine. I don't see any reason, you know, when I have a ranch horse, and it's scared of something, and I tell him it's okay, and it's fine, and then he gains confidence and goes, that's a pretty nice horse right there. A bad horse wanted to leave town and run out of the arena. This horse said, okay, if my rider is telling me it's okay, I can do this, then you know what? I would probably give her a 0 on that, on the maneuver itself. She'd get 10 points of penalties, but she would probably get a 0 from me because that horse was so willing. All right, that's what we have on the presentation. So now if you want to, we can take some questions either in the chat or by people raising their hand, whatever we want to do. Oh, 3 questions we have. Okay.
And then if they would like to vote,
Okay.
they just need to raise their hand and we'll unmute them one at a time.
Okay. Okay. I see the question. The first one is, how do you ground tie with a Romal? So the first way, there's a few ways. The first way is to just simply take your Romal and loop it over the horn, not hook it over like the split reins over your horn, just the Romal, leave it like that, go walk. The second way is to take a rein off one side of the Romal and drop it to the ground. So that rein will be on the ground. So then it just acts like split reins. The other way we can do in North America, you guys can't do in Europe, which is hobble your horse. Hobbling here is perfectly fine, and hobbling, I don't know if you know what that is. They're little things you put on your horse's front legs so that they can't move. We can hobble, we can loop it over the horn, or we can take one rein off and drop it to the ground.
So, and anyway, it's just really important that you do it safely.
Yes.
That's why.
Yes, safely is the big deal. So on that safe note, you would never want to take your Romels over top your horse's neck and put them on the ground because your horse could step through those. So that's why you wouldn't want to do that.
Scott, can I add to that question?
Yes.
You
Yes.
also sometimes see people with a neck rope.
With a get down rope.
Oh, yes. Yeah. With the
Yeah.
neck get down rope, those work perfectly too. You just take that, drop it on the ground and go. That's perfect.
Because we
And
don't
those
really
are-
have that over here much, but it is allowed
It is
to
absolutely
put that
allowed.
on your
Yep,
horse
and-
and then
Yep.
tie it to your horn and then drop that rope.
Yep,
Drop
that's
that,
absolutely permissible. And those are actually used here by like if trail riders and people who have guest ranches and stuff, because you can take your horse out, leave the bridle and bit in its mouth and drop that and tie him to something.
Okay.
All right. Should he have backed up his horse? On the ground tie?
Walked away.
No, he doesn't have to at that point. Obviously, I think if he was home schooling his horse, he probably would back it up and put it back in the same spot. Since he was showing, he was okay just to continue on, that his horse stopped. And the next question is, can you give your horse verbal commands to stay put in the ground tie? Yes. Whoa, whoa, lots of people stay there. Again, degree of difficulty. If someone hops off, puts their rein on the ground and walks off, it says whoa to their horse once and walks off, that's a high degree of difficulty. That's excellent. If someone says walks very slowly like they're on eggshells and says whoa every other word, they still might not get penalties, but it's not as good. Is it better to ride on a loose rein or shorter? I presume that's for the ranch riding. I would say, again, it's whatever works best for you to control your horse. You don't want to ride on draped reins. You want to be able to take your hand and move it a little bit and have contact with your horse's mouth. So, if your horse is all in the morning and he's happy and he wants to get out and he wants to go, you maybe have to ride with a little tighter rein. If he's later in the day and he's tired, then you can go ahead and ride with a little looser rein. Cool.
And then there's a transition.
What about the transition between the trot and the lope? Should it be exactly where the pattern says? So in the ranch riding and the ranch trail for that matter, the precision as far as location of where you do your obstacles is not nearly as important as it is in the regular trail. If it says lope after this obstacle and before this one, there's a wide range of where you can do it without getting a penalty.
Do you want to maybe mention all those ranch riding patterns have the note at the bottom of them?
Yes. Yeah. All of the ranch riding patterns have a note at the bottom of them for us. And it says this pattern is basically for guidance only. It is the rider's job to find the best, what do you call it? Track for travel, right? And if you have a bigger horse and you need to take bigger turns in the serpentines or anything, all of that, those ranch patterns are guidelines. They're there. There should not be penalties for where the location is. If the judges are giving location penalties, it had better be way, 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 way into the next maneuver. We got it.
What about the transition?
Oh, if the transition becomes a little bit of a sliding stop, in the ranch and the ranch trail, we want to see a ranch horse stop quickly and put its butt in the ground and whatever. So obviously, sometimes depending on the ground and your horse, if your horse has sliding plates on, or if they slide a little bit, it's okay. It's not going to count against you. When they start to slide like a reiner, like it's a big slide, you don't want to see that. You do not want to see that.
Okay.
Does the rider get judged on the position of the non-riding arm? No, not really at all. You want to see that the rider is effective and getting things done and that the horse is listening. Clearly, no matter what you're judging, when you're looking at something, you want something to be easy and comfortable to look at. So if a rider is all around in the saddle or their free hand is up and down, there's no penalties or anything, but it's just not as pleasing to watch, right? And it could potentially lower your score in the maneuver. No penalties. If my romels are a little too short for my horse, am I allowed to use leather extensions instead of chains? Sydney? Yes. Yeah, they can. Yes, you can. If is there a limited length to the extension? No, you can just make sure, the most important part to those reins is make sure you get them the correct length. So what you need to do there. All right. Do we have any, oh, gotcha. Okay.
No, I think it's a fine.
Okay.
All right. Any more questions or anything? This has been great, guys. We've really enjoyed it. Sorry for the technical glitches. We'll do more. We'll obviously we'll get better. And we are really looking forward. We know you're from all over Europe, so we hope to see you at the Euro Summit for sure. Joanne and I'll be there. And okay, I presume the question is for the ranch. Is it okay to trim the fetlock hair?
So in the US, it is absolutely okay to trim those long hairs, even on the face and the ears, if you have specific rules
For your country.
outside of, you know, the face. If you have rules about trimming the hair there, then obviously abide by those. But yes, you can trim any of the long hairs, even in the ranch classes.
And the question is, can I say something about the head and neck position in the ranch classes? I would expect the head and neck position to change, quite frankly, depending on what the horse is doing. If they're going over logs, I would think it can go down. If they're going fast, it probably wants to come up. If it's the only way that I, as a judge, am going to lower my maneuver score is if it's behind the bridle in a way that the horse looks scared, doesn't want to poke its nose out into the bridle, is scared to push on the bridle, or if the neck is so low that the horse could stumble and fall or step on the reins or something like that. I'm looking for a horse that I want to ride across the pasture. Maybe there's rocks out there, maybe there's logs out there. So I'd prefer that the horse's head is up and looking forward. But I also understand that conformation, a lot of horses they look different, right?
Today,
What's her name?
Lizzie.
Lizzie. Oh, Lizzie the healer's watching. We can't see her. Can you explain some more about the rider's position, Western pleasure versus horsemanship? Well, the bottom line is this, for position in Western pleasure and Western horsemanship, is there's no rider position that's outlined for Western pleasure. You can sit however you want in the Western pleasure. Obviously, if you sit like you're in the horsemanship and your legs are underneath of you and you sit up tall and you have great posture, I think that enhances the look of your horse. Now, the horsemanship, obviously, there your equitation should be impeccable, your shoulders square, your elbows at your side, your back straight, your hips over top of your heels, your leg bent, and your toes up, heel down. So in the pleasure class, you're going to see in the pleasure class, the judge's primary focus is on the horse, the quality of movement, and so you try not to look at the rider. You don't really look at the rider unless it's a distraction. If the rider's hunched over bad or they're moving their body in some strange way, then I feel that might be affecting the quality of the horse's gait. Then that's a problem. Is it okay to have a trimmed mane in horsemanship? Oh, to not have a trimmed mane. I'm sorry. And does it give a lower score? Nope. We, in our horsemanship classes here, we see horses with no mane. The mane's been trimmed right off. We see them with banded manes, and we see them with reiner manes, long manes. So it doesn't matter at all. It matters that it's clean and tangle-free and neat and tidy. How can I score positive for the natural ranch horse appearance? Your horse can be mostly, that score is given after the judge watches you perform your pattern. So if you, the word appearance is confusing. The word appearance would mean the way you look. If you were standing still and I looked at you, that is not the way. But it's natural. What it should say is natural ranch horse appearance while it's doing its job. So in that matter, what what would get you a positive score in the ranch horse appearance is your horse that looks happy, has its ears up, does its pattern without any fuss, and doesn't get angry at you, doesn't bother you. That's the fastest way. And by you being effective as a rider, not moving around a bunch in the saddle, just when you pull on your horse, the horse gives to the bridle. That's the best way to get the score for a positive ranch horse appearance. And I'll tell you how this goes just as a judge for me. I've watched a horse walk in the ring, and it is, if the horse was standing still, I would say that is a beautiful animal. That is a pretty horse. It's well groomed. It does everything. Then it goes to do the pattern. It swishes its tail. It leans on the bit. It chomps on the bit. It pins its ears. It doesn't do anything. That horse is getting a negative score or a bad score in natural ranch horse appearance. I've also seen a horse come in that looks like a plain, ordinary bay sorrel, nothing fancy. And it goes through the pattern, and it listens to the rider, and it looks pleasant and happy to be there, and never fusses with the rider. I give that horse a big positive, because that's a horse I would want to ride all day. I hope that helps with that. And these judges coming there, they'll judge just like I said. If your horse looks like it's happy, willing, and does the job really well, you'll get a positive score there. Yeah. So I think that's it, guys. Unfortunately, sadly, I have to be at another meeting in 5 minutes. So anyway, thanks so much. And if you guys appreciated this, you guys can let the Netherlands Quarter Horse people know. The question for the equitation, when I show the leg yield, is the horse's head moving in the direction or against it, and the horse is straight or shoulder. So the straighter your horse is, the higher the degree of difficulty, right? Most horses will turn their head slightly away from the direction of travel. They'll wrap around your leg, right? It's the same. It's a leg yield. If we get our horse to turn its head to the direction of travel and their hip, you're getting into a sort of a more of an advanced dressage maneuver called a half pass, right? So on that, if you can do it straight, do it. If you can do a leg yield with your horse's body straight, do it straight. That'll get you good scores. Most importantly on your leg yield, though, is that it's not inconsistent, so that your pace is steady. The trot is 1, 2, 1, 2, and you get it done that way.
And there's some sort of lateral movement, right?
Yes.
Your horse is staying straight-ish, maybe a little bit curved around that inside
But
leg.
moving to the side. Where can I watch the recorded version? Anya, do you have the answer to that?
Yes, we will upload this to YouTube, to our channel. And as soon as we have it, then it'll be uploaded. We'll share the link. It'll be on our website, but we'll also share it in a post on social media.
Great. And it says, when there is a raining webinar, I'm in. Glad to hear that you guys liked it. And yeah, we'll plan ahead. We'll do it. Thank you. Thanks everyone for attending.
Thanks so much,
Bye.
Scott. It
everyone.
was great to have you guys. And
Thank you.
Thanks so much for taking the time today to
Absolutely.
answer all these questions. And guys,
See
remember
you
that
in,
they'll be at the Euro Summit. So
Yes,
lots of more questions to be answered there.
absolutely. Yeah, you can store up your questions. Come see us.
And bring your
Yes.
paperwork.
Yeah, and bring your paperwork.
And bring your paperwork. Yep.
Yep, because we can do that too. We'll see you soon.
Thank you so
Bye.
much. Bye-bye.